The word toughness in Merriam-Webster's dictionary is defined as strong enough to withstand adverse conditions or rough handlings. So if you've never had to endure, withstand adverse conditions, or handle anything that is rough, then you, by literal definition, cannot be tough. You can be nominally tough. You can present yourself as tough. You can give the appearance, the semblance of being tough. But if you've never had to withstand any of this, then you cannot know whether you are tough or not. Some people like to give off that appearance, but as soon as an adverse condition arises, they fold like a $3 suit in a rainstorm. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, Mike Tyson was seen as unbeatable. He was 37-0, won every single fight by knockout. He never went past the 7th round. And then in 1990, he was fighting a contender named Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas was supposed to be nothing more than an exhibition in China. Nothing more than a staircase for the Evander Holyfield fight. That was supposed to be the big fight. The commentators talked about before the fight that they didn't think Buster Douglas would be able to withstand 5 or 6 rounds because of Iron Mike. Buster Douglas comes out there, he wins the first 2 rounds. And then in one of the late rounds, boom! Mike Tyson has his classic jab. Buster Douglas sputters, falls to the ground. They start counting 1, 2. Everybody thinks in the crowd, every commentator thinks, he got him, here it is. All of a sudden, Douglas jumps up to his feet to fight another day. A couple rounds later, Douglas annihilates Mike Tyson and knocks Tyson out. The next fight, when he fights Holyfield, Holyfield literally dominates Tyson. So bad that Tyson bites him in the ear twice to win the fight. He bites his ear off. That's because Mike Tyson was not used to adverse conditions. He was not used to being in rough conditions. He was used to knocking out his opponent. So his stamina, his physical composition was not up to par. But a lot of the fighters had the semblance of invincibility of Mike Tyson. They would fall on the ground and end up ending the fight early simply because of the appearance. But after Buster Douglas sort of opened the door, removed the veil of invincibility, other fighters begin to defeat Tyson. Now, Tyson's one of the greatest boxers of all time, him and Muhammad Ali. He's definitely a tough person. But the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes in life, challenges arise. You're going to get knocked down, you're going to get punched, but what you decide to do when you're on the ropes makes all the difference. Suffering does not make you virtuous. Everybody's going to suffer physically, mentally, emotionally. What are you going to do when that happens, when you're on the ropes? Think about Muhammad Ali, speaking of boxing. Muhammad Ali would talk so much trash, he would talk so much shit, but he backed it up. Joe Frazier, before their famous Thrilla in Manila, said, even punching him and breaking his jaw does not shut him up. You would literally see Ali standing at the ropes, trying to regain his stamina, people smashing his body, he would protect his head a little bit and he would say, "Come on, you ain't shit, come on, come on." And even the commentators would say he is literally talking to the person hitting him. Muhammad Ali didn't give a shit. He got punched in the mouth. He could barely stand up, but he won the fight because he was tough. He could withstand adverse conditions and rough handlings. Think about Donald Trump. Like him, hate him, whatever. Despite 2 investigations, his family members being investigated, many of the people around him being investigated, all of the media in Hollywood against him, he is still standing strong, pushing his legislative agenda through, bragging and boasting about his accomplishments, and continuing to plow through. This reminds me of another instance that's quite microscopic compared to these. I went to a football game some months ago. There was this kid, pretty big kid too. I'm about 6'1", and this kid was about, he's not a kid, he's around my age, but he was about 3 or 4 inches taller than me, so probably about 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". He's walking around with his chest out. I think he was a little intoxicated based upon the aroma of his breath. But he talked about how he's going to beat this person up and that person up. I looked him square in the eyes and I said, "You think you're pretty tough, huh?" And he said, "I know I'm tough." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, then give me your best shot right here." He's like, "What?" He was completely shocked. He's never had anyone try to test if he could withstand adverse conditions or rough handlings. When all of a sudden, I challenged him. So what did he do? He punched me. Not gonna lie, it did sting because another grown man who is twice my size hitting me is going to hurt, but considering the velocity and considering the sheer size of his body, it didn't hurt that bad. I said, "Is that all you got?" I said, "You ain't shit." And you could see his face totally blushed. Like he looked like he pissed in his pants in front of like a celebrity date. I said, "You ain't shit. That's a piss shot. Come on, do it again." And he hit me again and I laughed. I said, "You ain't shit. You ain't shit." And he just looked at me. His face was literally blushed at this point. And his friend said, "Come on, don't listen to him." And he walked away. I said, "That's right. Get the hell out of here." I went to the bathroom during the game, and as I was walking out the door, he was coming in. I stood straight. I stand straight anyway because I want my spine to not look like Bernie Sanders. I don't want to look like the fucking hunchback of Notre Dame when I get older. Your spine was designed to hold you up straight. You have 34 bones, and those bones can hold up your entire anatomy based upon your body structure. I'll get into that in another video. But I was walking, looked him straight in the eye, didn't change my position. I stood there, and he kind of brushed me with his shoulder trying to get past me, and I just stood straight. I stood very stoic, like a statue, and I just kept walking. And the point is, I just hate people acting like they're badass, acting like they're tough shit, when really they're not. But most of society likes to talk shit on the internet. They like to call people names, accuse people of being a racist, but in person,